If you're catching us on the replay, what you're watching right now is just a simple 20-second lead in, and this is where I double check, make sure it's Thursday night, make sure it's 7 p.m., make sure we got some people over in the chat, and otherwise, then we say, welcome to the Car Guy and SIXFAN show. Tonight, I'm your host. I'm Grant Tommy. It's great to be back with this community. I am straight SIXFAN, which makes me SIXFAN of this operation, and this guy over this direction.
Oh, did you actually get it? Wow, amazing. Yeah, so I'm the car guy of the operation. My name is Jason. I am Old Car Guy on YouTube. Welcome to the Car Guy and SIXFAN show this Thursday evening. And we're actually pretty excited to have our guest tonight. Roy, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Well, I'm Roy Marko, and I got Roy Marko's Garage on YouTube. And what else do you want to know? I do classic cars and all kinds of cars, actually.
Well, and certainly one of the clubhouse leaders when it comes to the movement of hashtag community, not competition. Roy Marko, you're basically second to none when it comes to what you do for us in our community. So we really appreciate that. And Jason, before you kind of run through the gamut and of who's joining us here tonight so far, I guess I'll just remind everybody just kind of some boilerplate things here. Just a reminder, when it comes to super chats, Jason and I do keep track of your guys' support. We really do appreciate that. And we do, we look at that. We reflect on that at season's end oftentimes, and we'll do it the same way we've done it in seasons past. But Jason, why don't you run through who's here tonight?
Yeah, so we've got last week's guest as our first person in the chat, which was Build One More. And if you guys haven't seen that show, make sure you go back and watch it. Pretty interesting show. Everything is Broken Garage, another Canadian. Will's Wheels, Junker Clunkers. I have not seen that name in the chat before, but welcome. We've got Grimm's Auto Service, Turlo's Garage. We've got Mechanics. We've also got King Eric, the greatest of all. John Wilburn is here. Stuff with Cletus, Lobach LS. And they just keep rolling in. Thanks, guys, for being a part of the show tonight.
Thanks for coming out. Good to see everybody.
Yeah, for sure. And it's always fun seeing new names. When you don't recognize the name, that there's nothing that excites us more here on the Car Guy and SIXFAN show.
And don't get us wrong. Just because we don't recognize your name doesn't mean that you've never been here before. It's just that we've got our regulars, and sometimes when you see a new name, like Grant said, we just get a little bit excited.
So Roy, let's get started with a little bit about I guess for me, for whatever reason, I have this fascination with here in Kansas. So I live in Kansas, and I don't call myself a farm kid. I'm kind of second generation farm kid. My parents were farm kids, and I did help out around the farms, but I've kind of fallen in love with the idea of grain trucks, like the 2.5 ton or 1.5 ton trucks, dually trucks, trucks that were putting in work here in Kansas, hauling grain to the elevators and things like that. And so your logo, or kind of one of the faces of your channel, is your C50. And as soon as I saw that, I kind of fell in love with it. So tell us about that truck, that build, that project, and how it came to be.
Okay, so I get a call from a friend of mine. He sends me some pictures about a square body short box 4x4 that he had, and in the sort of like one of the other vehicles on the property, because I wasn't really interested in that one, was a C50 sitting back in the bush, and I just thought, I'd be interested in that because it's one of those vehicles like you kind of look for one and you just see if something comes my way, and then he says, yeah, $300, you can have it. So I got all excited. I made a YouTube video, went out there and got it running. It really didn't need anything other than adding fuel and putting a battery in it. One of the plugs was taken out. You could hear the way it was running there. And then I kind of was a little rough for me. And I said, you know what? This is a little worse than, what I wanted. So if you want to sell it, and he says, well, I'll just get it out of my property. You can sell it, make some money if you want. And so I moved it over to a friend of mine's property that wasn't far away, and proceeded to put it up on the market. And then I had a guy that was interested, and it never really panned out. Make a long story short, so I was out there one day working on it to get it ready for him to pick up, which he never showed up. And then I kind of fell in love with it, and I thought, you know what, I can fix everything that's wrong with this thing, and proceeded to turn that into what will be my the pickup truck that I used to pick things up with. So, and doing what I wanted to do if I found any one of them, right? So.
Well, and that's part of the fun of, of looking or of being a car guy and doing that vehicle hunt is finding the unexpected. You went looking for a square body or a C10, and you found something totally totally different that caught your eye more, and all of a sudden it becomes a project on the truck or on the channel.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things is what was it that led you to fall in love with that truck? Like, was there one thing in particular or a couple of things that said, you know what, I really don't want to sell this. I think I should keep it. I want to make it a part of the channel.
Well, what I love about it is the simplicity and the fact it's overbuilt for what I'm going to use it for. Like, you work on cars, you see how they're made nowadays. I mean, they're not, I mean, you see new Chevy trucks and the wheels are falling off, and, ball joints and the little control arms. I just thought, if I build a heavy duty truck, it's going to last me a long time. I mean, it's never going to see heavy duty purpose and work. So, and I like the 67 to 72 Chevy trucks. And what makes this unique is that it's not something, you go to a car show, you don't really see another one either, right? So it's got a dual purpose for me. Nice heavy duty truck, and it's also something you don't see every day. So it's kind of unique that way.
And I guess where I'm fascinated with those trucks, and when I talked about it through the lens of a grain truck. So here in Kansas, I mean, historically, there's wheat harvest in early June, or late June, early July, and then there's the fall harvest. So some of these trucks, like on these farms, they're in really great shape. They're 50, 60 years old because they're essentially used twice a year, and then they get shoved back in the shed. You tune it up like 2-3 weeks ahead of harvest, so it's just like they're low mileage, they're in really good shape. If you don't have some weird farm accident that's got a giant dent in the door or whatever, like it's just, good luck finding the vehicle in the same shape from the same era, in the half-ton variety. And so I think like what you're saying is like, in my opinion, like I almost want to make a business model out of this, making rat rods out of trucks out of this era, kind of thing. But like I think they're great candidates for like car haulers, like you said. So, like, tell us about your dreams for the build, I guess, is where I'm going with this.
Well, I want to be able to tow a car trailer, just use it as a pickup truck. Otherwise, I didn't put a flat deck on the back or anything, or keep it long to haul cars on. I wanted something I could still park on my driveway. If I want to go to Safeway and pick up groceries, I still can. The fun thing about that truck is it attracts a lot of attention from people that grew up on a farm. I mean, they remember driving those trucks. So you go somewhere and people are like, "Oh, that's the truck I learned how to drive in," and stuff like that. And it's exciting to talk to people. It brings a lot of fond memories for people too. And it's just a fun truck to build. Like you're right, building and finding them. Usually they are in pretty good shape, but they do have their areas where they fill up with grain and they get moist, and then there's certain areas they rust out differently than a half ton. But that's what'll be down the road. I'll be doing the rust repair and fixing up things like that. The next video's coming up when I get this, putting the box together, the floor, all the new parts like that, getting that done. So that's the next big step on that truck.
So it's absolutely awesome that you've got this truck, the C50 with the half-ton long bed on it. I think you mentioned in the video with Luke and Bobo that you shorten the frame, shorten the drive shaft, all that stuff. But that really isn't what I want to talk about here tonight, because I would be remiss if we did not talk about the Hudson. It's a unique car. The particular body style of Hudson that you have was only around for a couple of years. They shared a very unique design with the step down floor. Lots of neat things about that car. Talk a little bit about your particular Hudson and what you've done, what you're doing to it, maybe where it came from.
Well, what happened, the whole car build came straight up out of the Great Beater Challenge. A friend of mine, or through our car club, Eric, he has another YouTube channel, or no, he partnered up with YouTube channel to put that out there, and they had a 55 Chevy that they had fixed up, and he was using parts, and I helped with that. I went over and helped him with that car and getting that going and things like that. And I thought, man, I'd like to do something like this. And I had a couple of friends that wanted to get in on this sort of deal too. And then one of them we saw it on Kijiji for sale as a free car. And he had called, and then he said, yeah, the guy said, give him a call. And so I called him up and told him what I wanted to do with the car. And he said, yeah, that's what you're going to do with the car, it's free. So I picked it up for last year's Great Beater Challenge, but that got canceled due to COVID. So it ended up becoming the 2021 car. And put it together, started 7 weeks ago now, 8 weeks ago, and getting it together, and just did the event, not this last weekend, but the weekend before. And the last weekend in August. And so the video just got posted today on my channel for the first part. And that car is fairly solid. I mean, it wasn't a rusty car. It's solid floors. I didn't have to do anything like that, just basically all the mechanicals. I found an engine, a 6-cylinder AMC 199, just about 300 kilometers south in the next city, Calgary in Alberta here. And that engine was cheaper to put into the car than rebuilding the stock 308 cubic inch, because it's based on a budget. You have to sort of fit within $700 other than safety gear. So brakes and fuel lines, things like that may not count because that's safety. So it was just a fun car to build, and it was a fun car to take on the trip, because if I'm going to do something for a trip like that, you could pick up a $500 K car and go too, sure. But I wanted something that fits my genre of cars that I love, and the 50s. So again, it was a car that I didn't go seek out. It sort of came to me. That's usually how all these cars happen for me. They sort of the only car that I went out and actually seeked out and bought was my Metropolitan, because it was something I wanted from my childhood.
Well, real quick, at this point in the show, we always like to remind those of you in the chat, if you are enjoying yourself, go ahead, if you could take just a minute of your time, share the link to this live stream, invite some of your friends in, because the more people in here, the more fun this is. We really appreciate those of you who are with us here tonight, and then we're having a good time. So, JC kind of teed it up for me with moving this topic over to the Hudson, because for a couple of reasons. One, season 4, we did our sort of deep dive into the history of AMC, and we talked about how both Nash and Hudson kind of came together to formulate AMC. And so, Roy, what I love about your build is, this idea of Resto Mods. It's not a new concept. It's always been around. We were putting 1950 flatheads into 1932 Fords when we came back from World War II. And it's always been about, let's find the 5 to 10-year-old motor and put it in the 20 to 30-year-old vehicle. So, and the second part to that is, I am straight SIXFAN, so of course I'm going to support putting an inline 6 of the AMC variety into a Hudson. So, talk about the challenges, I guess, of of course the AMC is known for their 258 is kind of their big, the 4-liter Jeep motor, all that stuff. What have been some of the challenges building the 199 cubic inch AMC inline 6?
Well, I'm learning about it as you go, because it's got some changes. It's sort of in the same family, the 199, the 232, and I think the 258 are very similar from what I understand. But especially the 199 and 232, the starters on the other side, it has a lower deck block. I did have a challenge with oiling, not getting oil up to the top end of that engine, as you've seen. And if you watch my videos, and I ended up putting a bypass tube in, that even if I had one of those engines in perfect condition, I would actually add that, because the way it gets oil comes up from a cam bearing, and it's not as good as it could be. So that made a big improvement. It went flawlessly on the trip. I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, I didn't have any issues with that engine. It went all the way down back, and I love 6 cylinders like yourself. I love especially the later model ones. You get the cam bearing between, or the crank bearing between every cylinder and stuff like that. They're a pretty tough engine, and I have plans with that car in the future, on future videos, to maybe add a supercharger or something to that inline 6. So that's something that I have in the works, off like a Bonneville, right? So
now, Roy, dealing with that 199, do you find, and the only reason why I'm asking is because I get a lot of people asking me about the Yugo and saying, you know, are the parts hard to come by? And for a Yugo, I mean, the car is only an 87, so it's not like it's 50 or 60 years old. The parts are readily available. What about this 199? Like if you have to buy a head gasket or you need to buy some cam bearings, like are those things something that's easy to come across, or do you have a source for that? Or
you know, I've been using a lot of my parts I get locally from bumper to bumper, but there are a couple of things like with your Yugo, you probably find just things are discontinued, might not be available. If I go on Rock Auto or source it like that, I have no problem getting head gaskets and stuff for that engine. I am looking for a rocker shaft because that one had some wear in it from not getting oil in the top end, and I'm having a hard time finding even online like a new rocker shaft, for instance, for that. So they are, but like when it came to the Hudson, all the parts, the brakes, the master cylinder, the wheel cylinders, the lines, all of that stuff was available right in the city. Even the tie rod ends, I had no problem getting them, but there are, like, you're limited, like brake drums, you know, you're not going to really find any of those and stuff like that, you know. And when it comes to the engine, I had to get the head gasket from Rock Auto, but everything else I've been able to get locally. And what's neat about that AMC 199 I'm learning about, some guy pointed out it's got a GM distributor in it. So it uses a GM distributor cap, GM points condenser, so it's easy to get the tune-up parts for that engine quite easily. So,
and what a great resource Rock Auto is, regardless of what you're building.
Yeah, it can be, for sure. I like to support my local guys first, and then if they can't, then that's when I'll go there. So
sometimes too, though, the trick with Rock Auto, you find like, oh man, that's a great deal, and then you look at shipping, you're like, man, it's also not as cheap as I thought it was. You know, it's like, wait a second. So this is like, well, I guess I could make money off of this because I can leave a Amazon affiliate link for those watching it in the replay. But if you're interested in just like derelict car history, this is a fantastic book. This was primarily what Jason and I used for our research when we deep dived into the history of AMC and, you know, the story of Nash, Hudson, and American Motors here. But yeah, this Hyde is the author. I don't know his first name, but fantastic. I mean, just I could read and read and read, and I don't like to read stuff. So
it actually worked out by putting that AMC engine in. It kept it in the family, right? So it was,
for sure,
it was kind of unique that way. I mean, that's just what worked out for me. So
yeah, and so I'm a purist in that sense. Like I don't mind swapping different era motors into anything, but I just love keeping it in the family. So like I'm all about that build for sure, Roy. And I guess where I want to go next is, you know, usually we wait till later in the episode or the live stream to dip into YouTube tips and tricks. But so I won't exactly 100% go there, but I did want to make mention of, Roy, you have a second channel out there, and so I think that's where you can add some really unique perspective later about winning on YouTube. But just tell us a little bit about your second channel that some people might not know about.
Well, one of my hobbies I really enjoy is building model cars. That's been you know, from my childhood. Well, anything with car related. So model cars has been a big part of my life, and I've been collecting models for, you know, since I was 10 years old. So I have quite a big collection, and I have a YouTube channel on building and customizing. I never build them out of the box anymore. So it's, you know, customizing, how do you do this, modify that, and tips and tricks. And so if you're into that kind of thing, you want to check that out. It sort of ties in because I'll use model cars as a research or a tool to be able to maybe even build a real one. I've done that with like hot rods and stuff in the past. Done it on a small scale and then made it a big scale. So.
And just real quick, Jason, before you ask a question for Casey, our friend over at Patina Pit Stop, he was talking about stunt doubles. I thought I'd swap our screens just so we could get a good side by side of.
Yeah, when you see the Crown Victoria doing burnouts and donuts, it's actually me driving.
Yeah, because I don't know how to do them, so I just sub Roy in for the burnout sort of. Oh, dang. Oh, off the rails. Wow. All right, so I guess one of the questions that I wanted to ask you before we kind of move on about the tips and tricks, without revealing anything, Roy, because we did talk a little bit about it before we went on screen, was you had mentioned that during COVID you had found that your other channel, the model building, tended to be a lot more profitable than the other channel, simply because people were sitting at home and they had nothing to do, and you found that model building is simply non-specific. It's a hobby that encompasses so much in just one little thing. Maybe you could just repeat to our guests a little bit about what you said about that for people who didn't have anything to do. They were sitting home, they were quarantined, they were isolated.
Yeah, well, for me, it's very seasonal being up in Canada with snow on the ground, and I don't have a big shop to work in, so I spend my winters working on models more than on the real cars. And so for people at home that are working on it, they'll see something on my channel, and being able to have links and things like that to Amazon, people will go to Amazon more. So if you have even any channel you have on YouTube, advice I can give you is if the more links you have and products you use that can get somebody to Amazon, it'll definitely help out with your channel finances for sure.
And that kind of leads into what Grant was getting at earlier, was tips and tricks. And I'm not sure we've ever, Grant, talked about this, about affiliate links specifically, for helping to grow your YouTube channel. You don't have to be monetized to make money on YouTube. You can use affiliate links for Amazon, for other companies that might be out there that you're associated with. If you're displaying a part or a tool or something on something you're working on, you can always say, listen, anything that you see that I'm working on, I got a fly flying around here. Anything
same here.
Walking around or that I'm using here on my video, there's a link down in the description box below. If you feel you need it, go over, hit that link, do me a big favor. So that's a great segue into the tips and tricks to say, get yourself hooked up with affiliate links, because I think that is something that would benefit everybody who is a YouTube creator.
Yeah, in Magnum Machine Works asks, how do you get to become an Amazon affiliate? And I'll tell you, it's there's an application process. It's not super hard. You just fill out some stuff online, and they do have, I think it's like a 90-day window. If you don't sell anything, they will suspend you for a period of time, and then you can reapply. And that happened to me. It took me, you have to get enough clicks and people to actually buy things. And so I'll get into a little bit of the science of that, actually, because I am an Amazon affiliate associate, I guess is actually the appropriate term. But you don't even have to. The nice part about it is, if you say, hey, I'll just take my fuel filter for video of my CRD Jeep Liberty. It's like, hey, if you want to buy a fuel filter, if you don't know where to get one, click the link in the description below. So say so-and-so clicks that link, gets distracted, doesn't actually buy the fuel filter, but it's like, oh, wait a second, I actually need mechanics gloves more importantly, and buys mechanics gloves. I still get a commission on them buying mechanics gloves. What Amazon's excited about is that we're directing traffic to them, commerce to them, and so they'll give you a little bit of cut no matter what they buy, as long as it's via your link, as long as they got lost in the Amazon world on your link, they can do that. The second thing I'll say real quick, Jason, I see you're unmuting, so I'll shut up here in a second. But because I live in the Kansas City area, that's a city that straddles two states, Kansas and Missouri. So our buddy Greg over at Greg's Garage, check your local laws, because Missouri didn't allow Missourians to be Amazon affiliates. So he did affiliate links through eBay. So just check your local laws first, just kind of an extra reminder. But shut up, and Jason, go for it.
No, I was just going to kind of jump on top of that as well, and let you know that there's a reason why Amazon is going to likely become the first billion-dollar company in the world, simply because of things like that. Why wouldn't you give everybody the opportunity to direct people back to your page? Right? Pay them a little bit. They sell something. You make 2 cents. They make 3, whatever. Yeah. So one of the things, Roy, that I want to talk about a little bit too is how do I become a SIXFAN?
Yeah, just reading that.
You guys can discuss that. Roy, you did do a collaboration a little bit ago with Luke from Coastal Auto Reaction, and talk a little bit about that experience. And I don't, not so much. I mean, yes, with Luke, but so much about the collaboration itself. How do you found that, or how did you find that to work to your benefit? We always talk about collaborations. That's one of the reasons why we do this show, is because every week Grant and I are collaborating with each other, but we're always having guests to help, direct people back to, what you're doing, what people in the chat are doing, and people can check out each other's channels. So how do you find that meetup, that collaboration helped you?
Well, it brings people to my channel because he has a lot more subscribers than I do, and anything that somebody's watching his channel, they see my truck, maybe they never came across it on YouTube, so they will come my way. Well, that's one of the ways it helps me, and also the other way around. I mean, if I do anything about him, somebody that watches my channel, they might find his channel, and no one's gonna say, "Oh, I'm not gonna watch Luke anymore because I found Roy." I mean, they're still gonna watch his content, so it's not hurting them, I don't think. And I had a blast. It was fun. I think it'd be good to do more collaborations in the future where, you trade off work. Like, I'm good at this, somebody else is good at that, build a car together or something. I think that would be great, brings the community together. So
I was just reading a comment in the chat there. It says, Turlo's Garage says, the first time I wore my old car shirt, I got hit by a deer.
Yeah, and I just tried punching in the chat there. We're calling that the curse of the square body grill, body grill. So shoot.
Darn it. Well, it's funny because I should say it's funny. It wasn't funny at the time, but looking back, there was somebody else in the chat or in the comments that were saying that they had hit a deer too. I'm almost think it was David from Build One More, maybe. If he's still in the chat, go ahead and pop that up. But the whole thing about being a community, we talk about it every show, is simply that there's a reason why Grant and I decided we wanted to do. There's a reason why Grant and I decided to carry on doing the CARRGUY and SIXFAN show, because initially we were a little bit selfish and we said, you know what, we want to find a way to get ourselves to 1,000 subscribers, because neither one of us had hit that yet. So we thought doing a live show and inviting some of the common followers would help each other out, and it worked. And then we said, why not take it a step further and bring on that help or whatever it is that we know to other channels. So we allowed ourselves to continue to carry on with the format that you see today by having guests and those guys sharing some tips and tricks. And Roy, again, we said it right from the very beginning, is one of the things that we appreciate about you and your Instagram and the help from your wife on Instagram as well, is sharing out all the channels that are a part of kind of the hashtag community, not competition. And there's some channels that I watch today that I probably would never have found had I not clicked on that post. You know what I mean? So thank you, and thank your wife for all the efforts that you guys put towards sharing out some of these smaller channels. The question that I have, I guess, leading up to that is, we know that your wife helps you out with your channel. To what degree does she help you with?
Well, she's when I started, I mean, all the filming, editing, all of that stuff was done by me. And my wife, Rebecca, would help me with typing things in, and, because it's just my typing skills are not as good as hers are. So she's able to, she'll read the comment to me, she'll type it back in, and I'm, so she helps me a lot that way. And now she's starting to help hold the camera a little bit from time to time, which has been helpful. But other than that, I mean, the ideas, the content, the filming, and the editing, I do all the editing myself, because it's just, I kind of have a vision of where I want it to go. So my filming kind of comes in to make that happen. So I know where the camera angles are, I know what I want, and then put it together so to tell the story. I
mean, I hate to spend a ton of time to keep talking about it, but you do such a good job with it, Roy, the Instagram promotion. And I think when we talk about community, not competition, it's all about, I've always been a firm believer in, okay, what are you just, straight up, what are you just naturally good at? And how can you use that one thing, that one trick pony to help enhance, the people around you? And so I don't actively contribute on the Instagram like that often, but I don't know if I should say this out loud, but I guess I will because I started. But I do like to help, up and coming YouTube channels like develop a graphic or a logo design, and I don't ask for any money for that. The only thing I ask for is to not publicly like put that out there because I don't have a ton of time, so I can only do so much. But so that's the way I like to kind of give back is because that's one of my talents is I'm a designer, so I like to do graphic art, stuff like that. What would you say like has been the most rewarding part of this, promoting everybody? What have been some of what's a good anecdote from your side of maybe things that since you started doing it's like, oh my gosh, I would have never seen this coming? Because I certainly have my stories.
Well, I mean, the amount of people that come back at you and are appreciative of what you do, and I like helping people. It's just my nature. I'm a very helpful person. That even goes to helping neighbors fix their cars and things like that. So being able to put a post up or share a link is rewarding for me because you see somebody else grow, and that's always nice to see. And maybe that person has better content. Maybe they'll grow bigger than me, and maybe they'll help me grow, down the road. I mean, it's a way of helping each other out. So, and that's the reward for me is just the good feeling you get by helping somebody.
I was going to say, I almost started talking there without hitting that mute button first, because that usually happens. And that shows, Roy, in basically everything that you do as far as your channel goes and your social media presence. Again, just we don't want to beat that to death, but again, it's great that you do it. We're coming up on 32-ish minutes. So we got a little bit of time left, but I want to talk about some of the things that are coming up on your channel. So maybe you can kind of give some people some sneak peeks, maybe something that they're not anticipating to see coming on Roy Marko's Garage.
Well, I don't have anything super exciting. I have a couple ideas, just a matter whether I can get them off the ground. One is like I've talked about it before, building a mid-engine car out of a car that wasn't mid-engine, and that's but that'll have to happen maybe next summer. I'm not sure. See how things go. But there are basically what you see on my channel is what I got. I'm just continue working on the projects, and my truck has got to get some work done before snow flies, and that's what's coming up after the Hudson. I mean the Great Beater Challenge, and then as this, I still have so many things to do, right? So I don't have any big surprises though. I can't really think of anything that will blow anybody's socks off yet, but we'll see. You never know. Sometimes, in a month something happens and then things change, right? So.
That's right. When you're working on old stuff, old cars, old projects, junk, whatever it happens to be, Yugos, there's always something to do when it comes in relation to cars. And one thing we haven't talked about tonight, and I know we're kind of going to get a little bit off subject, but we're going to segue into something. I like that word, segue, is we've had Lowbuck LS with a $5 super chat. Thank you very much. That's going over to Grant, as well as Everything is Broken Garage, $18.12. A lot of Canadian super chats in here tonight. So thank you guys for the support. As you guys know, the last 3 weeks, Grant has not been a part of the CARRGUY SIXFAN show because he's been on vacation. If you've been following on Instagram, you've been seeing some really, really cool photos and landscapes and just things you just don't see every day. Only been home for 3 or 4 days now, Grant?
Technically in my own home since Sunday.
Since Sunday. Okay. So 4 days you've been home. I'm sure the Fairmont is the last thing on your list, but is there something that you've got that's coming up on the Fairmont that you might be able to talk a little bit about?
No, nothing on the Fairmont, but to piggyback on my trip to Iceland, which I am actually drinking Icelandic beer tonight. was some of the best that I found on that country. I'm going to do a kind of a vehicle review and kind of a review or the experience of. We opted to rent a camper van for our adventure there, so it's going to be kind of a vlog, kind of a review, it's a lot of different things wrapped up into one, and that should be released tomorrow. So I got to drive a 4x4 van with a snorkel for 2 weeks. So how cool is that?
Did you put it to use?
Yeah, did you test it?
Yeah, did you test it?
You'll see a little bit. A little bit.
So I guess what's coming up with mine is there's going to be a video. I'm not sure when it will come out. I haven't finished editing it yet. I'm totally off schedule with this whole move and things going on. Anyway, the 440 Magnum videos are going to start coming. We've got the rotating assembly put together on the 440. So you'll start to see that video likely early next week. And there's going to be an update on Dale the truck. There hasn't been anything posted about Dale the truck over the last 2 weeks because he's out of commission. Without going into details, I'm going to be posting a little bit of an update video on that. The Yugo, you guys have seen the thermostat. Thermostat will be in hopefully tomorrow according to tracking. Get that back together, and as opposed to driving Dale the truck as a daily driver, we're this close to getting the Yugo as a daily. So those are going to be some other things. No, it's not a deer. Somebody I saw in the chat. But we've got we're that close to driving the Yugo a little bit more as a daily. I did put some license on the Chrysler Cordoba as well because I wanted to be able to drive something. So I had it out for rip there last night as well. Pretty excited to talk a little bit about building a shop. I know a lot of you guys have been talking about what am I going to do for a shop. I've been posting a few pictures and this and that. Everything's lined up. People are so busy. It's a couple week wait for the construction guys to get the driveway in. It's several weeks for concrete guys. I've already ordered my lumber. All that stuff is coming. So you'll start to see some updates on that stuff as well. I'm done talking for a second, Grant. Take over.
Well, I was just going to say this is the moment of the show where we usually try to remind everybody. It's like, hey, we'll open it up for questions from you guys. This is probably the appropriate time to do it. So if you can't come up with a question right now, start thinking about it, and we'll try to ask those from you to Roy. But so Roy, we'll wrap up from our side of things, from Jason and I's, is that think about not just Roy Marko's Garage, but your model building channel as well. Put those two together and think, what is maybe the biggest lesson you've learned on your YouTube journey of things that maybe you would like to share to the community here, and talk about, hey, man, if I would have known this a little sooner, I think I would have been better for it. So what are some of those things that you've experienced that can help everybody else out?
Well, I may have just considered starting one channel that had both the model cars and the real ones. I don't know if it would be beneficial, because sometimes certain subject matter people want to see and sometimes not the other. But it's a lot more work trying to keep up with both of them. That's for sure. So that's one thing that I probably would look at doing differently. But now that it is what it is, I just basically consistency is key if you want to. Just getting those videos up, try to keep a schedule. And I'm still not good at that yet. I'm still working on ironing that out so that things will be a little, that it'll be like, every Sunday or every Tuesday, whatever it is a day, that there's definitely a video coming out. So that would be where I'd like to be here soon. So that consistency.
Did I take my mic's on? Yeah. Okay. So almost did it again, but Roy, what's your ultimate goal with either one of your channels?
Well, I want to be. I want to make this my living. So that's my goal with both channels, or one channel. If one is the one that makes the living, that's the one that will, and the other one will still be there. It just may not get the attention. I noticed there's a question about 125th and 124th. I know that's a big thing about model cars, and for me, I'm a 125th scale guy. So everything I build, I try to do in 125, unless I absolutely can't get it. So if it's something I have to build, but yeah. Why did I get into YouTube? Well, that's a good question. I got into it because I wanted. My background is I worked as a teacher's assistant in automotives, and I did that right out of high school, and I did it for 19 years. And I really enjoy sharing, like teaching people how to do something. So my videos on my automotive channel were sort of like, how do you do this? How do you do that? Or like if I'm doing something, I'd want to show the details and get into it. So somebody else, if they want to learn how to repack a wheel bearing, or if they want to learn how to do something, they can do that. But I also want to have some exciting content as well. So that's kind of what got me into YouTube. Watching Nick's Garage actually was I really enjoyed his channel, or it still do. I mean, he's and the working on those old Chryslers and things like that, and all the knowledge he has. I just love listening to when somebody knows a subject. It's just awesome to listen to them because they just have so much to bring to the table. So that's why got me into YouTube, and so my biggest thing is I'm not a technology guy, so that's the part that I gotta catch up on.
So our next question comes from Newfoundland, from the boys over at Everything Is Broken Garage, wondering what was the one car that got away?
A few of them, but one. I was working on a 51 Chevy truck that I was building as a hot rod on an S10 frame and stuff like that. And I did feature a slideshow video on it, and that was before, YouTube and that for me. And I ended up having to sell that truck just because it was just sitting around, and it got kind of into a dead spot, didn't have the money to finish it. And it just sort of, I sold it and let somebody else hopefully finish it. And then the last thing I saw of it, it was somebody had taken it apart and sold it in pieces. So that was kind of sad for me to see that on Kijiji. But the other one would be my 446 pack Chrysler. I really enjoyed that car that I built out of a 76 Newport. So that was a lot of fun.
A 446 pack Newport?
Yeah, I had a Newport that I bought that had 16,000 original miles on it, and I should have featured this car a lot more on my channel. And I had bought it. Somebody had bought the car, pulled the engine and tranny out to put it into an older Chrysler, and this car was mint. And I turned around and built a 440 and bought all the 6-pack pieces for it, and I had this 446 pack, and that car there's nothing like owning a car like that. You have no idea when you open those carburetors up, and the sound, and on the highway that car would pick itself up at 70 miles an hour and bury the speedometer. Like it was fun. So
Luke over at Coastal Auto Reaction wants to know, what is a memory or experience that you enjoy because you have a YouTube channel?
Well, one of them would be recent, meeting up with Luke and that from Coastal Auto Reaction. That was a fun experience. The nice thing about the community is you're kind of meeting people that are like-minded, right? That you enjoy their company, and it's a way of meeting people that share the same love and interest that you have. So I really enjoyed that for sure.
Okay, you got to put up stuff with Cletus's question down there.
Yeah. Okay. There it is. It was on my list. There's been so many good questions tonight, because I also think Turlo's Garage is sending this my way, because everybody knows how well I do with carburetors.
Oh, shoot.
And then Junker Clunkers, this isn't a question, but I'm not going to promise you 500 tonight, Junker Clunkers, but I do think our community can at least get you to 490. I don't think there's any reason why we shouldn't think you could get to 490 by the time you wake up, or this time tomorrow, I guess I should say, because sometimes the YouTube subscriber count takes a little while to register on the creator end. But let's see, what's another good question? They were just rolling in there.
So
the one about tuning that 2-barrel, I mean, if I come across one, and I can do a video on it for sure.
On that note, though, Junker Clunkers, I'm going to put your link in the chat just so that anybody that wants to go check your channel out, if they haven't already, they can go do that.
And the thing about it, tuning a 2-barrel just on a carburetor subject, it's really no different than doing a 4-barrel, other than with the 4-barrel you have the secondary circuit to deal with. But other than that, I mean, your primaries and all that, your idle circuits, all that's basically the same. So.
Yeah, so I think we've got the questions just about down. We got rid of the questions that were fun to ask.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if anybody wanted the context of that, of course, the last time I had a Fairmont video up, my car, I installed the air fuel gauge or air fuel ratio gauge, and I thought I had it tuned really well. It was right where you wanted it at what was it, like 14, somewhere in the 14s. And then the next time I fired it up, it just ran stupid rich for no reason. And the idle mixture screws, it wouldn't react to anything I did with the idle mixture screws. So I do have if you follow me on Instagram, and this is that regular reminder, if you guys want kind of behind the scenes looks, I know I haven't put a video up in a long time. Instagram's a great place to follow all of us. So I'm at Straight SIXFAN over on Instagram. Why don't we go around the horn and just give our Instagram handles just to remind everybody? But Jason, yours is?
Mine is at Old Car Guy, so same as my YouTube channel, OLDECARRGY. Roy, why don't you shout out your
my Instagram handle?
Yeah,
Roy Marko's Garage. Yeah, she's Roy Marko's Garage there on Instagram, right? So, is there anything else? Oh, okay, that's it.
Yeah, so I see a few people in the chat. They're just making note that they have subscribed to Junker Clunkers. So that is kind of part of what this community is all about. He's up to 487 as we speak. And if you guys want to take a run over there to his channel and see what it's all about, don't just subscribe just for the sake of giving us a subscription. That's not what this is. This is about going over, making sure you like what you see. And if you do, give them the opportunity to watch some videos and subscribe. We don't want, people just subbing for the sake of getting that number. That's not what it is. We want loyal people that's going to come, watch, comment, and be a part of the community, because that's exactly what we're doing here.
And honestly, just to piggyback on that, Jason, like the best consolation prize in that scenario is like, maybe you scroll through, you filter through all of the content. You're like, yeah, I don't know if this is consistently something I want to watch, but this looks really interesting. If you just sit there and watch that one video all the way through, that helps a ton too for everybody's growth. So
absolutely,
everybody go take a dip over and check Junker Clunkers out. Roy, I wanted to thank you for coming on the CARRGUY and SIXFAN show. We appreciate your time. We appreciate what you do for us. We'll let you kind of give kind of some of your parting thoughts, and then Jason, why don't you wrap things up for us?
Well, thank you for having me on the show, and I enjoy all the other content that people put out there, and it's a good community to be part of, and I hope that the content I come out with in the next, I'm trying to get some more subscribers. I was hoping to hit 10,000, but I guess not. It's more like 4,000 maybe this year. So yeah, just hopefully enjoy the content that I put out, and that's it. And I always enjoy feedback, so comments and letting me know what you like, what you don't like, and see where things go from there.
Yeah, and one thing I want to touch on that too, Roy, is when it comes to feedback, sometimes feedback is best left in a private message. I know there's a lot of people who feel the need to voice their dislike publicly or their constructive criticism publicly, and sometimes it's distasteful. So just be kind. I enjoy it. I really do enjoy when people send me a private message and say, hey, listen, if you did this, I get criticism a little, I constructively, from Grant once in a while, from Luke from Coastal Auto Reaction, from different people. They'll reach out and they'll say, well, what if you did this? Or, maybe I'll reach out to them with a title or this or that, but keep it private. If you're going to criticize somebody, there's no need to rake them over the coals in front of their whole subscriber base, because that's just no fun. Anyways, go ahead, Roy. Grant, you wanted to
just interrupt you just real quickly. I know we've tried doing this through the chat when they came in, but just kind of the recap, or to reiterate how much we appreciate stuff with Cletus, Low Buck LS, Everything's Broken Garage for your super chats tonight. It has been noticed, and we are inventorying that and writing that down. But anyway, close this out, Jason.
For sure, guys, make sure you tune in next week. If you don't know who Anthony Gazzo is from Specialty Motor Cars, check out his channel. He does a lot of high-end classic rear-wheel drive stuff, big cars. He's going to be our guest next week. He's from New Hampshire. Real great fella. I texted him tonight just to make sure that we were still on track for that. Going to be a great show again next week, just like we had this week. Roy, thank you so much for being a part of not just our show tonight, but a part of our community.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And with that being said, thank you to everybody in the chat for being a part of the chat. Novataz is sending a late $5. Make sure we get that recorded. And thank you to everybody for just being a great community, because without you guys, we wouldn't be putting this show on. We wouldn't be able to have guests like Roy on here or Anthony for next week. So thank you so much. We'll see you guys next week. Grant, are we back on your channel again? Are we doing that? Are we just, nope, we're back to mine. We're just going to keep with the flow. So we're back on my channel next week. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay focused on the windshield, not the rearview mirror. We'll see you next week.